The first warning wasn't the dance. It wasn't even the guy. It was the way the spotlight hit the floor that night. Yeah, I know how ridiculous that sounds. A grown man blaming lighting. Like I'm reviewing a theater production instead of retelling how my marriage cracked open like a dropped snow globe. But that's how my brain works. I notice tiny things no one else cares about. And that spotlight? It was pointed at the exact center of the ballroom, spinning slowly, like it was waiting for two people to step into it and ruin my life in high definition. And of course, Mallory did. She always loved attention, even though she pretended she didn't. She'd roll her eyes when people complimented her dress, but her shoulders would rise just a bit, like she was trying not to float away. So when she drifted under that spotlight, part of me thought, fine, let her have her moment. I was tired. I was hungry. I wanted to go home and microwave leftover lasagna. I wasn't in the mood for another corporate event where I hold her purse and nod at strangers who think my name is Greg. But then the music changed. It wasn't planned. The band had been playing upbeat stuff, nothing romantic, nothing slow. And then out of nowhere, the singer announced, "This one's a special request." Even though nobody had gone near the stage. The lights dimmed. The spotlight tightened. The room got quieter, like everyone sensed something was about to happen. And that's when he stepped into the beam with her. I swear, it was like watching a movie someone forgot to invite me to. 1 second Mallory was standing alone, checking her phone. The next, this man materialized, placed his hand on her waist, and started swaying like they'd rehearsed it. And Mallory, my wife, didn't flinch, didn't hesitate, didn't even look around to see if I was watching. She just melted into the moment. Into him. And the worst part? Everyone else saw it before I did. People whispered. A few smiled knowingly. A couple of co-workers nudged each other like they were watching a plot twist they'd been waiting months for. I stood maybe 10 feet away, but somehow it felt like 50 yards, like I was outside, staring through a window, fogging up the glass with my breath. My chest got tight. My ears buzzed. My hands shook so badly I spilled my drink all over my shoes. But nobody noticed. Why would they? The show was happening in the center of the room, and I was just background noise. Furniture. That's when the thought hit me. Not angry, not jealous, just hollow. I don't belong in my own life anymore. So I left. Not dramatically, not slamming doors. I just walked out. Quiet. Forgettable. Like a guy leaving a movie he didn't enjoy. I made it down the hallway before I heard someone running behind me, heels clacking wildly, fast and frantic. And then Mallory's voice, breathless. "Grant, stop." She never used that tone. Ever. That tone meant something happened. Something big. Something she didn't expect. And trust me, this was only the beginning of the shock. Her voice cut through the hallway like a fire alarm. Sharp, panicked, and completely off-brand for the always composed Mallory. I didn't stop walking, though. Not yet. I remember thinking, she didn't stop when I was standing 10 feet away watching her slow dance with another man like I was a ghost. Why should I stop now? But curiosity betrayed me. Always does. I slowed down, just a little, and that was enough for her to catch up. She grabbed my sleeve. I flinched like I'd touched a hot stove. She looked shaken, actually shaken. Her mascara was perfect, her hair still flawless, but her eyes? Wild. Like someone who just realized they left the stove on, and the house might already be burning. "What are you doing?" she asked. I laughed. Actually laughed. "Me? I'm leaving the party where my wife pretended I was dead." "You?" She blinked like she hadn't expected me to say anything. Like she thought she'd find me sulking, not speaking. She always liked me better when I was silent. It made things easier for her. "It was just a dance," she said, like that meant anything. Like I hadn't watched her lean into him. Like I hadn't seen him whisper in her ear and her smile like she was 16 again. We were talking about old times. Old times. I repeated. "Were you also dating him in those old times?" Because it looked a little more personal than a shared PowerPoint memory. She crossed her arms. Defensive. Mallory always fought with logic. Calm, I see logic. But this time she looked off. Her eyes darted behind me, toward the ballroom. She kept glancing back, like she expected Travis to come after her, or like she was worried he wouldn't. And then she said it. The sentence that broke everything. He wasn't supposed to show up. I went still. What? She covered her mouth like she hadn't meant to say that. But it was too late. I saw the truth on her face. Whatever was happening between them, it wasn't spontaneous. It had history. It had weight. And she'd lost control of it. "You invited him." I didn't invite him, she whispered. I didn't think he'd actually come. I told him about the event weeks ago, before things got messy. Messy. She didn't answer. That was when something inside me changed. I wasn't just hurt. I was furious. Not screaming furious. Worse. The quiet kind. The kind of furious where your heartbeat slows instead of speeding up. The kind where your voice drops, and your eyes dry out, and suddenly everything is clear. You've been seeing him, I said. She didn't deny it. Didn't nod either. She just stood there, frozen. Exposed. Like the hallway had turned into a spotlight, and now she was the one on display. And all I could think was how poetic that felt. Then I did something I never thought I'd do. I pulled my wedding band off, held it up between us, and said, "Was this just a costume piece, Mallory? Because I feel like the only one who thought this was real." She reached out to stop me again, but I stepped back. I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I just turned and walked out. And this time, she didn't follow. At least not right away. But trust me, she'd regret that hesitation. And when she finally tried to fix it, it was already too late. I woke up in my car. That alone should tell you how well my night went. My neck was cramped, my phone was at 3%, and my mouth tasted like panic and hotel peanuts. I hadn't gone far, just parked 2 blocks away from the venue, engine off, heat on low, trying to process what had happened. But sleep still found me somehow, like a thief slipping in during my lowest moment. When I opened my eyes, the windshield was fogged up and sunlight was already punching through. The first thing I saw was a missed call. Then 3 more. Then a voicemail from a number I didn't recognize. And then her name, Mallory, sitting at the top of my screen like a scar. I didn't press play. Instead, I drove. Not home. Not to work. I went straight to a coffee shop down the road. One with free Wi-Fi, greasy breakfast sandwiches, and chairs that didn't judge you for looking like a disaster. I sat in the corner, phone plugged in, laptop open, heart pounding in my chest like it knew something I didn't. That's when the digging started. I know how Mallory thinks. She's smart. Careful. Too careful, actually. If she was hiding something, it wouldn't be in her texts. No, she deletes those. Same with call logs. But she's human. People forget about the cloud, or the calendar app, or the Venmo feed. First, I checked our shared bank account. She had her own account too, the emergency fund, she called it, but our joint one showed recent activity. A hotel charge last Tuesday. A boutique purchase 2 towns over. A rideshare receipt from an address I didn't recognize. I clicked the rideshare trip. The drop-off location? The exact hotel where the fundraiser was held. At 11:42 p.m. The gala ended at 10. Then, something hit me. I opened her work calendar. We still had access to each other's through a shared app from back when we tried syncing schedules to reconnect. What a joke. I scrolled. There it was. A recurring private event blocked off every other Thursday afternoon. No title. No location. Just busy. I clicked the details. Nothing. But then I checked the metadata. Yes, that's a thing if you dig deep enough. The invites had been forwarded. To T. Leach. Consulting at gmail.com. Travis. Every single one. I remember sitting there, just staring at the screen. Like somehow seeing the evidence in front of me made it less real. Like if I scrolled hard enough, the truth would disappear. But it didn't. And as I sat there, still shaking, still stunned, I heard the bell over the coffee shop door. I looked up and saw Mallory. She spotted me instantly. Her eyes went wide. She hadn't expected to find me there. She looked like she hadn't slept either. But it wasn't guilt in her expression. It was fear. She rushed over, whispering urgently, "Grant, you can't tell anyone." That was the moment I knew this wasn't just cheating. It was deeper, dirtier, dangerous, even. Because when someone doesn't beg for forgiveness, but begs for secrecy, it means they've got a lot more to lose than just a marriage. I didn't say a word when she sat across from me. Not hi. Not how could you. Not why him. I just stared. She looked like she hadn't blinked in hours. Her blouse was wrinkled, her lipstick smudged, but her voice, when it finally came out, was sharp, focused, too calm for someone who'd been caught in the act. "Grant," she whispered, "we need to talk. But not here." "No," I said. "Right here is perfect. Unless Travis is outside waiting to finish the dance you two started." She flinched. Not from the sarcasm, but from the name. I'd never used his name before. Never said it out loud. Saying it now felt like a slap. Like lighting a match next to something soaked in gasoline. She leaned in, eyes darting toward the barista. You have no idea what this is about. That's when I laughed. Because how many times do cheaters say that? Like their betrayal is a Rubik's Cube that only they can solve. Like there's always a bigger reason. I opened my laptop and tilted the screen toward her. Our bank records, the calendar, the hotel receipt. The stupid shared salad they Venmo'd last week. You really thought I'd never look? I said. You married the most boring, predictable guy in the world. What else do I have time for except digging through this crap? She sighed. Not guilty, not panicked, just exhausted. Then she said something that made my stomach flip. This isn't about you. My mouth went dry. You're right. It never was. But she wasn't done. You can't go public with this, she said. Not the affair. Not the receipts. Nothing. I blinked. So now you're trying to control what I do with the betrayal? You don't even care about the marriage. You just don't want anyone to find out. She didn't deny it. Instead, she reached into her bag and pulled out a manila envelope. That's when things got weird. Inside, contracts, confidentiality agreements, NDAs with corporate letterheads, her signature on almost all of them, and buried in the middle, a clause with Travis's name tied to a special consulting arrangement and a payout bonus that activated after 6 months of non-disclosure compliant collaboration. Translation? She wasn't just sleeping with him. She was profiting from it. And I was the loose end. I stared at the papers, trying to make sense of what I was holding. She leaned in again, voice shaking this time. Please, Grant. If this goes public, I lose everything. My job, my board seat, my equity. This wasn't supposed to happen. You mean the affair? No, she said. You finding out. That hit harder than anything else she'd said. Because now I wasn't just the neglected husband. I was a threat, a risk to be managed, a PR disaster with emotions. And in that moment, I realized something crystal clear. She never regretted the betrayal. She only regretted the exposure. And suddenly, I understood my role in her story. I wasn't her partner. I was her liability. She slid the envelope across the table like it was a peace offering, but it felt more like a bribe wrapped in desperation. I didn't touch it. I just stared at her. At the woman I thought I married. At the woman who used to cry during Pixar movies and write little notes in my lunch bag. Now she was sitting here, clutching her designer purse like it was armor, trying to keep her career from collapsing under the weight of her own decisions. You're not hearing me, she said, voice trembling just enough to feel rehearsed. If this goes public, I'm done. I lose my job, my board vote, everything I've worked for. And Travis, he'll walk away clean, like he always does. I'll take the fall. Good, I said, and even I was surprised by how flat my voice came out. She blinked hard. Once, like she thought she could reset me. Like I was buffering. Grant, this is bigger than an affair. It's about contracts. Compliance. There are lawyers involved. People at the top. I leaned in slowly. And none of them cared when you were sneaking around with him. Huh? But now I care. And suddenly you want an NDA from the guy you used to ask to take out the trash. Her hands tightened on the table. Her face twitched, just a little. You don't understand what you're stepping into. I actually laughed. Mallory, I've been your invisible +1 for 3 years. You think I don't understand how dirty your world is? I used to think it was just shallow. Turns out, it's radioactive. I took my phone out and placed it on the table. Her eyes locked on it like it was a bomb with a ticking timer. I didn't have to say anything. She knew what I'd done. Did you record me? No, I said. But I could have. And that scares you more than losing me ever did. The silence between us felt thick, like cement still wet and setting. Then I said something I hadn't planned. I want a divorce. She didn't cry. She didn't argue. She didn't say she loved me. She just nodded. And that told me everything. But I wasn't finished. I'm not signing anything, I said. No NDAs. No statements. No clean exit. You want to protect your empire? You figure it out without dragging me back in. You've used me for the last time. Her eyes burned. You're making a mistake. Maybe, I said, standing up. But at least it's mine. And then I left. I didn't go home. I didn't go to work. I went to the place I used to take my sketchbook before we got married. A park bench, near the old fountain where the ducks always fight for breadcrumbs. I sat there for hours, just watching the water ripple, wondering if this was the beginning of my actual life or just the slow-motion wreckage of the old one. But here's the part one didn't expect. 3 days later, I got a message. Not from her. From him. Travis. And what he said. It made everything worse. I should have blocked him. I should have deleted the message the moment I saw his name appear in my inbox, like some glitch in reality. But I didn't. I opened it. Like an idiot. Like someone who hasn't already had his entire world gutted by this guy. The subject line was blank. The sender? Travis Leach. That smug, overconfident consultant who danced with my wife like I didn't exist, now sliding into my inbox like we were old friends. No warning. No explanation. Just one sentence. She didn't tell you everything. I must have read it 5 times before I stopped blinking. I thought about not replying. About taking the high road. Whatever that even means after everything that's happened. But curiosity is a sickness when you've been betrayed. You start needing answers like air. So I responded. Simple. Cold. Then say it. He replied instantly. Meet me. Tonight. 1 hour. Parking garage under the Wilton Plaza. Level 3. What is this, a spy movie? A parking garage? Was he trying to intimidate me? Or did he just like being dramatic? I paced my apartment for 45 straight minutes before I grabbed my keys and drove. I didn't tell anyone. Not even my brother, who I'd finally started opening up to. This wasn't something I could explain over a phone call. It felt different. Bigger. When I got there, the garage was mostly empty. The buzz of fluorescent lights echoed through concrete like an uneasy hum. And then I saw him, leaning against a black Audi, phone in one hand. The same arrogant stance I remembered from the gala. Except this time, he didn't look smug. He looked concerned. Grant, he said, like we were acquaintances catching up over coffee. Thanks for coming. Get to it, I snapped. I don't want your voice in my ears any longer than it needs to be. He nodded. Fair. Then he said something I wasn't ready for. She wasn't cheating on you with just me. The words hit like a slap, but I kept my face still. I refused to give him satisfaction. She had an arrangement, he continued. With a few of us. All consultants. All contracted under her department. It's how she fast-tracked certain approvals. Performance bonuses. Cross-company leverage. You think it was about love? Mallory doesn't do love. She does leverage. I couldn't breathe. Not fully. My lungs felt like they were folding in on themselves. And he just kept going. She picked people who had something to lose. People who'd keep their mouths shut. I was just the one who stayed too long. I wanted to hit him. I'm not a violent person. But for a split second, my hand curled into a fist like my body was making the decision before my brain caught up. But she loved you, he said quickly. That's the worst part. You were the only person she couldn't fully manipulate, so she tried to ignore it. Pretend you were just part of the furniture. But when you left the gala, I saw her face. She was panicked. Not because she lost a pawn, because she lost the only piece she never understood. I didn't say anything. I turned around and walked back to my car, shaking, sweating through my shirt, heart pounding in my throat. I didn't even look back to see if he was still standing there. But as I drove home, one thought started to settle into my mind, heavy and dangerous. This wasn't just infidelity. It was strategy, a system, and I was married to the one running it. So now I had to decide, was I going to burn it down or build something better on top of the ashes? I didn't sleep that night. I just sat on the couch, staring at the wall, phone in one hand, Travis's words bouncing around in my skull like a swarm of wasps. Mallory hadn't just betrayed me. She'd weaponized intimacy, turned it into currency, traded pieces of herself to climb faster than anyone else in her corporate kingdom. And somehow, I'd been part of the disguise. The loyal husband, the harmless accessory, the guy who made her look stable, trustworthy, relatable in meetings with conservative investors. She didn't love me. She leveraged me. But if she thought I'd stay quiet, keep her secrets while she walked away clean, she picked the wrong pawn. The first thing I did was call Natalie. You don't know Natalie yet, but she's important. She used to work with Mallory before Mallory restructured her out of the company, right after she got too close to exposing some irregularities in consultant contracts. Mallory buried her with fake performance reviews and anonymous complaints. I didn't know that at the time. I believed Mallory when she said Natalie had become unstable. That word, unstable, Mallory used it often, for anyone who didn't obey her. So I called Natalie, awkwardly, carefully. Hey, it's Grant. Mallory's, soon-to-be ex. Silence on the line. Then, did she send you? No. She doesn't know I'm calling. But I think I've seen what you saw. Maybe even more. Another pause. Then, quietly, talk. So I told her. About Travis. The NDAs. the calendar invites, the performance bonuses. And Natalie didn't sound surprised. She sounded relieved, like someone who had been shouting in an empty canyon for years and finally heard a voice echo back. I still have emails, she said. Screenshots, time-stamped edits to bonus structures. She used multiple aliases on the contracting platform. One of them matched the email you just said Travis used. My pulse started pounding. Would you share them? If you're serious, she said, I'll go all in. But you have to be smart about this. Mallory has claws. I was past scared, past sad. I was focused now, like someone who'd been asleep for 5 years and just realized the house was on fire. I met Natalie the next day in a library, neutral ground. She brought a flash drive and an entire printed binder. I brought a list of names, consultants I remembered from Mallory's stories. She pointed to 3, all men, all mysteriously promoted within 6 months of joining. She used them, Natalie said, like currency, like proof she could manipulate outcomes. And what did she get in return? Influence, equity, enough stock options to silence HR and buy loyalty at the board level. I flipped the page. One signature caught my eye. Mine. Mallory had submitted a joint investment disclosure using my name, without my knowledge. She used my identity as part of her clean image to backdate a financial transaction involving one of the men she slept with. That's when everything changed. This wasn't just betrayal. This was fraud. I sat back in the chair, the binder in my lap, and realized I had her. Not emotionally, legally. And if I played this right, I wouldn't just get out of the marriage. I could burn her throne to the ground. The next week moved like a storm behind glass, silent but dangerous. Mallory must have sensed something shifting because she started sending messages again. Not the angry kind. The soft ones. Can we talk? I miss you. I made mistakes, but we can fix this. But there was nothing to fix. Not anymore. She had treated love like a business deal, and I'd been the idiot who kept renewing the contract without reading the fine print. Now I'd read every line. And I had the receipts. With Natalie's evidence, I hired a lawyer, one who specialized in corporate misconduct and fraud. We didn't go nuclear, at least not yet. That wasn't the plan. We sent a single letter to Mallory's firm, addressed to the compliance department and CC'd to legal, stating that I had documentation involving unauthorized financial filings, conflicts of interest, and a misuse of spousal identity on joint investment paperwork. The reaction came fast. Mallory called me within an hour. No hello. No apology. Grant, what did you do? I kept my voice calm. I'd been rehearsing this. I'm not out to destroy you, Mal. I just want out. Clean. I want the divorce. I want my name off everything. I want the car, the studio, and the savings account you think I don't know about in Connecticut. And then I disappear. You keep your title, your board seat, your golden girl image. But if you fight me, I don't blink. I go public. Silence. She hated not having the upper hand. Finally, she said, fine. 2 days later, I signed the divorce papers. 3 days after that, the car title was transferred. 5 days after, the settlement was finalized with a quiet wire transfer to my account. And just like that, the woman who danced with another man under a spotlight while pretending I didn't exist vanished from my life like smoke. And I moved. New apartment. New city. Nothing flashy. Just clean walls, quiet nights, and a fresh start that didn't smell like stale resentment. I even started sketching again. For myself this time. No more architectural drafts. Just messy, human moments. Faces, hands, things I used to love drawing before I got swallowed by her shadow. And one day, in that quiet park with the fighting ducks, I met someone. She was sitting on the bench sketching the same fountain I was. We joked about how the ducks always picked the same breadcrumb wars, and I swear, for the first time in years, I laughed without bitterness. We've had coffee a few times since. No pressure, no secrets, just honest beginnings. And maybe, after everything, that's the best revenge of all. Not burning her world down, but building mine back up.